start here. So we were talking about the different feasts, how the feasts in Kabbalah are very important to practice, right? The Kabbalistic way, the idea. So, like the Aztecs, the Mayans, the Incas, they all have a different, I would say, direct way of, or not direct, but the speciality, something special about them. So the Mayans were really intrigued by time. Time was really it was a big deal for them, to a point that everything they did, it was built on time. They had these little clocks. They had clocks very small, and then they had cosmic clocks. And they were like with gears. So they would push them, right? As the cosmic one moved, then the earthly one and the stars move, and then they would align them. And they were like, oh, today was when Venus was born. And they were pretty accurate. They were accurate to a point that they could kind of see the future because he repeated it.
That's the key.
Now, weird, huh? His time repeated. That's what they thought, because they thought it was a cycles, but not a cycle like this, but more of a spiral.
Spirals.
But they're doing the same thing, just going up and up and up, right? So they knew, like, if you go to the calendars, it gives you like the time of the Civil War of the United States. They align it. So anyway, that's what the Mayans. But the Hebrews were also really intrigued about time. And they use another method, right? A method of the moon. The moons are the key to them, right? So I was telling you that the 7 feasts, Kabbalists sees it like a map in the yearly. So they have 9 feasts that are very important. 2 of them are monthly and weekly, which is your new moon and your Shabbat. So those are kind of like the little small one. And then you have these annual ones, right? With 7 of them that we talked about last week. And then we have a cosmic ones, of 1,000 years. We have one on 50 years, so bigger. So I was telling you that the feast that is so important to them for time is the feast of Yom Kippur. Yom Kippur is the key to them. Yom Kippur is a feast where everybody has the chance to be forgiven. Start all over, exactly. Because in Passover, only the firstborns are forgiven. They're saved. Everybody else has to wait until Yom Kippur. Got that? So the book of Revelations, right? If you read the book of Revelation, you see all this craziness, symbols and things that happen in there. Those there is only one day. Book of Revelation is just one day. When the priest goes inside the temple and all the different forces of the universe get aligned. That's the idea. So he uses a very Zoharic, like a Zohar, Zoharic language, which is very symbolic. That's why the book is so odd to us. Sometimes you see John in the heavens, and then he's in earth again, and now he's with a beast, and it's like, what the heck is happening here? But when you understand Yom Kippur, you start getting what's going on, right? So, last week we started talking about time, because time is very important. So, where the feast land is very important. So, there is an idea in quantum physics. It is the most important idea there is. There is none above it. Okay, this is like the main idea of quantum physics, and it has to do with it's called symmetry. Symmetry, right? And symmetry is what I wanted to talk to you about it today because Rosh Hashanah is our next feast. And I don't know how is your life and what you want, and I don't know. But if you are really want to change your past, because your past is what's kicking your butt. It's not your present. Your present is just receiving what your past is giving you because you put the seed long time ago and now you're getting it. And if you don't handle it, then you're going to make other seeds today, which are not very good, who is going to jump on you 10 years from now, and then you're going to find yourself at 90 saying, yikes, I have to come back. Because it's a spiral, right? So what you want to do is not change your future or your present. You have to change your past. And of course, and how do we do that? So Kabbalists, right? That's their thing. Their thing is we have to get off of cause and effect. We have to get out of it. Okay? So here we go. So the equation is called symmetry. So then Kabbalah started saying this. You have to first understand Torah and science as one. You have to harmonize it. Because the way we live now, the only way to understand Torah is to really understand science. Long time ago, we were farmers. If we understand sheep and cows, that's how we were taught. And so Torah talked about cows and sheep. The moment that our brains elevated because we have more exposure, the cows becomes atoms and the sheep become electrons. Because something else. Because Torah moves with you. If you don't do that, you will see this more like a religion and eventually you'll have a narrow-minded. And that's a no-no in Torah. Torah is you have to have an open mind. That doesn't mean that you don't care, that you do whatever you want. That's not what he's saying. He's saying that you understand where you need to go without having the restraints of fears and complexes in your past. Your past is not a good thing for most of us. Got it? So, the union of science and Torah is called the Messianic era. So when we talk about, you know how in Christianity Jesus is coming? Right? For Hebrews is the Messianic era is coming, where science and the upper worlds, the spirituality, will become one, and I'm going to understand. I'm not going to be fighting anymore. Kabbalah says if you fight Torah, you're not a Kabbalist. You don't fight these things.
Do you question them?
You can question. Yes, of course you can question. That's part of science. That's what makes science so awesome. In Torah so awesome, you can question it. You just don't fight it. That means I'm not going to try to prove to you nothing.
But if you were to call religion, religion is something that in many ways they force you not to question. Because it's religion.
Yes.
That's the difference? Kind of?
The bad thing about religion is you have to defend it. If religion you didn't have to defend it, would be an awesome thing. Because every religion gives you good things. It gives you good, nice moral values. It gives you to love your neighbor. All of them. Even the thing the satanic one does. Ya lo puse ahorita así. You know? I don't know. It's just you try to defend it. It's because you're not even sure what you're doing. So, Kabbalah says there is two waters in the universe, two types of waters. We call them the waters from above, that's the Torah, and the waters from below, that's science. Got it? So, this formula that we're going to talk about, because we need to travel, need to be ready. This should be your year that you can cut off your past. Because you're receiving so much of that harvest that is always in your way. Every time you think you did it, every time you think you got it, every time you think it's done, here comes another ton of potatoes from 15 years ago. You're like, and you have to eat them because
And there's a plague.
there's nothing you can do, right? So Kabbalists were into that. So in the formula is humongous. I want you to go see. It's called symmetry. It's called like this: C as in Carlos plus P as in Paul plus T symmetry. So it's CPT symmetry. Okay, look for it. Okay, in science. So it's pretty long. You look at it, you're like, okay, what is this? But as they were doing this, I'm going to explain to you what it is, okay? As they did the formula, they found out that there is a constant number, a number that constantly is there. And that number is 137. And 137 is the word in Hebrew Kabbalah. So it's always there, right? So what is this thing consist of? So symmetry is like a mirror. That's what the word will come from, right? When you see yourself in the mirror, you're in a symmetry state. It looks so you, right? It looks so perfect because you can see yourself, but you're not there the same way. You're backwards. Look at your pictures of your t-shirt, and they don't look the same. They're like backwards. Why is that your face doesn't? Why is you can go here, right? And this eye shouldn't be this eye? Because it's backwards? Can somebody tell me why?
It's the mirror of our reflection.
Yes, but if it's my reflection, why is that my t-shirt is not doing it?
That is weird. I never thought about that.
Yeah.
So you're gonna give us the answer?
So the idea is that your eyes somehow do symmetry. And so it switches everything without you even knowing it. He doesn't care about this though. Your eyes somehow don't care. Your brain says, I need to see myself. And if I see myself backwards, I'm going to get freaked out here. So it does automatically this symmetry. Okay. So you don't even know it's happening, but you have changed already. Right? Does it make that sense? You're changed already. You were backwards, and your brain flips it, and now you're back to normal. That's what we call symmetry. So, I'm going to teach you then how we do that with our souls. How can you go back into the past and do it in a way that when you come back, everything looks the same and everything seems nothing has happened, but you have changed your past. And no more potatoes from 15 years ago. That's the only difference.
That to me is a revelation.
All right. This is what the Kabbalah and the Torah says, because Yom Kippur is the forgiven of your sins. But if your sins are forgiven and you're still paying for it, I don't know why it's important to be forgiven. Somehow it needs to be forgiven, it needs to be done, it needs to be clean. Right? Does it make sense? It's like, I forgive you, but I will never forget. You don't forgive me. Right? It's like that idea that I gave you before. Nobody has done anything to me. So I don't have to ask for forgiveness or nothing because nothing is done. I'm okay now. I'm free from you, from that past. Does it make sense? Okay, so let's gonna see the CPT, right? That's the formula for symmetry. C equals to charge in science.
Electrical or
Yeah, your
speed?
the charge, no, electrical, yeah. Yeah, it's more atoms and electrons and protons, right? So charge. P is going to stand for parity. Parity means up and down, left and right. So it's kind of space type of deal, spacey. Charge is more of a electricity. Space is more poetry. And then the last one is T for time. So is the symmetry, right? Is the balance or the change between charge, poetry, and time. If I only do one of the three, it won't be symmetry and I cannot do anything about it. I can't change anything. Because I cannot go back in time. If I will go back in time, which I can't, but if I could, and try to change my past, when I come back, I'm not here anymore. Or I just split another parallel world and I'm in a different way. That's why you see these movies and those craziness. Here, you're gonna go back, but because everything is gonna be the same, you come back and nothing has happened. By your eyes, just like the mirror. But you are switched. Okay? So let's talk about charge, like science. So when we talk about charge, we're talking about plus and minus. Right? So an electron is a minus. It's a particle that is negative, right? And a proton is a plus, which is a positive. Well, because of that formula, right? And as they started studying more and splitting more the atom and exploding them, they smashed them to find this particle that is the beginning of time. Through it, they found another particle. And the particle is called a positron. Positron. P-A-S-I-T-R-O-N. Positron. Well, that tells you that it's going to be a positive. But it's a positive that has the ability to go to the past. I want you to read it, okay? I'm not, so you don't believe me. They know that this particle disappears. And it goes in time. And then appears again. Of course, these are particles in a quantum time, right? So it's milliseconds or milliseconds. It goes back. It goes back and forth.
Back to the same position.
To the past.
To the past and
Disappears from our universe. From our time. And it comes back. It's up and down. Right? So we know that. So that means there's this particle that we need.
and it's called
Positron.
P-A-S.
I.
P-A-S-I.
Yeah, P-A-S-I-T-R-O-N. So I took the definition from the physics, right? And that electrons. So the positron leaves a reality. It's not visible to us anymore, and it tends to go back to the past, and then appears again. Okay, good on that? Okay, so charge equals electrons, negatives, positives. Thoughts in the past, negatives, past, positive thoughts. You want to do it that way because your mind is kind of like a quantum type of way. Thoughts kind of influence you. They live in you. They become roots in you, and then it becomes physical. It's kind of like your feelings about somebody or about things. They start somewhere in a thought. Takes a millisecond, right? Yeah. And then as your feeling goes, it kind of moves to the past and you're like, but I had experiences with, I don't know, and it comes back and forth, back and forth. Got it? And even though you know your past, you cannot change it. You continue doing the same thing wrong, even though you've been in the past, in charge.
But can that charge also go to the future?
No.
No, so just, it's from present to past.
The particle only, the positron.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's only can do it. We okay now here? Should we continue? Yes. And then you have parity, right? Which we call it the opposites, right? Left, right, above, below. So every space has its opposites. And you can transform things through space, right? Because I can go from left to right, right to left. I can transform in space. So that's why Kabbalah says nobody changes. You only transform. So I have a left and a right. But if I want, I'm always at the left, I cannot just cut my left and I need to transform, go to the side. Now I'm in my right, but I'm still me. I'm just transforming. Okay, so never expect somebody to change. But you can expect through Torah somebody to transform. Okay, you have your weaknesses and you have your strengths, kind of like the personalities here. I want to give you this class. I think this class is going to be good for you. This is the personalities. You will love it. Yeah.
This was, to me, lately, you're right. We can never change anyone.
No.
But transforming, wow, I never saw it that way.
Yeah.
That is amazing what you just said right now.
Because transformation is the key. The Torah never asks you to change. You never saw Samson changing. How did he die? Doing what he's supposed to do, killing. He was a killer. He was a killer from the beginning and he finished killing. King David was a king of war. He finished that. He loved being loved. How he died? With a woman. And people don't change, but his path. He found his path. And so he transformed. And so his purpose became the right thing. But he never changed who was King David. He was the same guy. And I think sometimes we try to change people or change ourselves. Not try to change you. Try to find your strengths to cover your weaknesses. It's like a boxing match. If you have weakness on your liver, that's when you really get bad, then you need to have this thing low. And don't move when you're getting hit here. It's okay. Because I'm covering the only thing that could kill me. Does it make sense? You just have to cover your part. That's your strengths.
And upon covering your weaknesses with more strengths, you're hiding them, right? They're there. The seeds there.
You're covering them.
You're covering them.
That's why the Torah says, love covers multitude of sins. There's nothing more powerful than love when you love correctly, which I mean you love yourself correctly. I don't know if you can love somebody else, but I don't know. You just love, you need to love you. You love yourself, you can share it.
Okay, so the way I'm seeing this example is in myself, right? In the transforming part.
Uh-huh.
And like you said right now, see your weaknesses, that's also talking about emotions and don't resist. See them, why are they there? And let's turn that into a positive.
You don't go, okay, so I am I'm an impatient person, so I need to be super patient. No. That'll be change. So I'm impatient, I'm going to be more compassion. And my compassion is so great that covers my impatience. Because people are going to see so much of my compassion, they go, he's impatient, that's okay, we can handle that now. Because he's so compassionate. Es como Madre Teresa, right? If you know the story, she was such a compassionate lady, but she was a feisty one. The Pope didn't like her. She was crazy, but her compassion was so big that the Pope says, okay, give her. Like he wasn't wanted to give if she was not compassionate. So you have to find your strengths and really be above that so that your weakness is not a big deal, mi amor. Yeah, you think about it like I was telling people, like if you're in a relationship, but when it comes to communication, sex, and money, and family, if two of the four are really humongous, you can handle life. But if it's 1 against 3, I don't think you're gonna handle it. You're gonna break. So you have to have at least 2 that you like. I'm good at this one. I'm gonna give that one as much as I can. So when I have my weakness, my partner gonna say, "Yeah, but she's good at that one, so it's okay," because it has to happen. Yeah, you're not gonna get very frustrated because you can change. You're impatient. But because you're compassionate, you can wait. But not because you're impatient, because you're compassionate. You use another strength, right? So knowing your personalities, I can teach you what are your strengths and what are your weaknesses, and how to transfer them, right? Okay. So and the last one is time. Time is the thing that we think that we know out of the 3 of them, charge and period. Is time the one that we are more familiar with? So we have a past, a present, and a future, right? That's what we know about time. Of course, we know we just don't understand that time can go backwards because it's a river of 2 ways. In other words, we have no idea, we still don't know why, if this thing fails, why doesn't pick up, goes the opposite. We don't know why it doesn't do that. It should do that mathematically. It does it. It should pick up and back here. Everything balances, but we haven't seen it. And we wonder where is it doing it, but not in this realm. And this is what the psychics or the mystics, the Kabbalists, the religious, spiritual, they're like, it's there. I can see it. You're like, don't see it. You remember when the prophet says to his servant, the servant goes, "Oh my God, look at all those people against us, all this army." And then the prophet says, "We're more." And then he just looked at him and says, "It's only 2 of us." And then he says, "Open your eyes." And he says that there was a big army they had in their realm, but they couldn't see it. So maybe, right, Kabbalah is about just opening your eyes and finding out that you're not alone. That you always have been kept guided by something or somebody. So here we go. So if we can do the changes, right? So we can do charge, we can change from negative to positive, and left to right, and past to future in time at the same time. Then it seems like nothing had happened, just like the mirror, but you're now in a different realm. So it has to happen simultaneously. When we do that, that's what we call symmetry. Any questions about that? Huh? Your eyes are going to see the difference. But you have changed. You can change your realm. And that's why you see people that really generally go, I have another life. I feel different. My life has changed. You're like, you look the same. But they feel it, that something really has happened to them. And their life changes. And they become really great people.
Can we, in the knowing in the present, put something into place to realize that we have changed and that we know, like our internal code, like the book is in a different shelf.
Oh, not physical.
But, and I gain when I have all my books alphabetical by its theme.
Yeah.
If that book is out of place and I come back,
You're not going to come back
how would I?
because you come back to another realm. Another realm and your eyes cannot see it. Your realms continue looking at the old realm. Right? You're just like the mirror. You're still you, but your face just got transfigured. But you just don't know it. So here, I'm still me. But in the mirror, I'm not. I'm somebody else now. Right? It's like a symmetry. So, if we try to just do symmetry with one of those, doesn't happen. None of the three has symmetry. Time has no symmetry. Poetry has no symmetry, and charge has no symmetry. They have no balance like that. If you go charge negative, you're negative. You're not positive. Get it? So you're like in a pickle there if you just do it by yourself, do it one. So we have to do it three of them. The good news, and why I'm giving you this, is because the gates are going to open soon. And you can do the change.
Please elaborate.
Okay, here we go. So I asked myself, so okay, when I was reading the formula, I was trying to say, okay, so how it applies to us? Quantum physics has no idea. Quantum physics go, I don't know. It just seems to happen, right? Because they just don't see it. So this phenom, right, is that I can change all my negatives to positives. What about all the negative stuff that has happened to you? Think about it. And you can do symmetry and all the negatives will become the positives. How will your life be now? Now that you change, now that you were not there, you didn't pass that. What about if somebody left you? Let's do it in my life. My dad left me, right? He just wasn't there. So in my life as a human, in my psychology, right, in my mental state, that's a negative thing for me. What about if I can go back and make that leaving me a positive thing for me? If I come back, how would I see my dad? Would I ask him to ask for forgiveness? No, actually, I would go and thank him. I would go hug him. Man, you're the best.
Glad you left.
Glad you left. Because I got it why you left.
Yes.
Because I needed you to leave. I'm going to tell a story here. Hopefully I don't have a therapist. We can do 6. Oh, are you? Okay, so then. No. Okay, so we go. So ready. We'll do next week. We continue. So my biological dad, I met him when he was 18. I was 18. I had no feelings for him. My mom was really good with us in the sense that she never talked bad about him for some reason. So, and my mom did almost everything for us, even though we kind of suffered in many ways. My mom was good enough, and I felt good. I just didn't feel like I needed that. But of course, you do. At the end of the day, you do. Right? So he dies. Right? I met him and everything. He was, fun guy, blah, blah, blah. So he dies. I have no feelings. I didn't cry. I didn't hate him. I just didn't know anything. And then my mom, being my mom, says, you need to go and honor him. I said, okay, Mom. So I go to Guatemala, but of course, in Guatemala, you die in the morning, at the evening they bury you, and then you're done. Right? Not like here, they take a year and a half to see where to put you. Right? So then I go, and so I go to the cemetery. He's in the general cemetery, so it's like a city, that thing. Right? So I'm looking for him. And of course, there's no computers, nothing like that. It's like little notes. Left to right here, right?
And a marker.
In a marker.
With a letter.
So I said, where's he is. So, funny, my favorite, believe it or not, my favorite president of Guatemala, which I never was my president, but in history, his name was Ubico. because my mom loved him. And of course, then my mom loved him, I love him, right? So I go, right, and I see his tomb. It's like, wow, I was like, this is beautiful. His tomb is awesome, right? Ubico, presidente, so I'm doing, and then who is next to him? My dad, right? And it says, Carlos Ernesto McDonald. That's my name, my full name. So it kind of freaked me out because it's like seeing my tomb, right? So, imagine. So I'm standing there, right? And then, I don't know, I wanted to feel something. I just didn't. And I said, my God, what do I say? Because I'm in front of him, right? And then, it came to me. I says, what did you give me? That's the first thing that came to me. What did you give me? And then, of course, came my last name. My last name has been a blessing to me. Anywhere I go, you're McDonald? Yes. And then my life changed. I don't know why my last name has opens doors. I don't know if it's the McDonald's or what it is, but it does. Carlos McDonald from Guatemala? How the heck you get the last name, right? And then the story comes. If I open my mouth and let me tell my stories, I'm in. Anywhere I go, right? So I say, oh, I want to thank you for my last name. And then, of course, this is like the traveling, right? I've done this every year, right? So he died in July, so he died this month. So I'm finishing my cycle of my past, or Rosh Hashanah. Rosh Hashanah starts my cycle again, right? So I'm finishing my last. So I looked at him, and it's like I travel, right? It's like I travel to the past, but to his past. And I said, oh my God. I says, you sacrifice yourself by being irresponsible and staying alone so that I can go to the United States. I can't believe you were not egocentric and you allowed me to leave this country so I can become a better person. And then my emotion just came. I never cried for him, but it just, the gratitude, I was like, what the heck? And now when I came from there, my life has changed when it comes to that area. I feel I have a dad that gave his life by being irresponsible and staying in Guatemala so that I can come over here. Because if he would have been a decent dad, I don't know what would happen to me in Guatemala. I don't know. But he changed my life in an awesome way. And that is part of this idea. But it has to be practiced. If not, you're not going to be able to enter. Okay? So next week we'll do that. We'll do that. We'll do the steps. Is that okay? Yay! All right. I'll see you then. Go, go, go.